Hi, my name is Tiina. I work as an educator at the Espoo City Museum. One of our museums is situated there at the Exhibition Center VG. We started transforming our live events into digital ones in the spring of 2020 by making videos of the senior lectures we had intended to hold live, but then couldn't. But then when we were closed again before Christmas 2020, we decided that just holding these lectures on our YouTube channel isn't enough, and we want to engage our public. So we came up with 4 new digital concepts that we have tried out now for a year, or a little less than a year. We have held a lecture for adults on a Saturday. We've had these short Friday afternoon sessions with a short introduction to the day's topic and then some conversation since March every week. And we've had lessons for school groups online. And then we held 3 short sessions for our senior public. That was not a lecture, but was more of a conversation session. We mainly advertised these on our Facebook page and on some local Facebook groups. And we had on our web page instructions how to enroll to these sessions, and then when you enrolled via Webropol, then you got a link to the session. And they were all held in Teams, which we have become familiar with in our distance working since spring 2020. I'm going to tell more about 2 of these concepts. The lecture that we held on a Saturday and the sessions we had for our very devoted senior public. So most museums, we have noticed, call these lectures virtual tours, but we find that a tour should be in a space, and we are developing our own virtual tours on our virtual museum platform where you can actually move around in the virtual world. So we have been talking about lectures, since showing pictures and having a team session is to us a lecture. And we've held lectures for years and years, so that's a very popular form of museum work in our museum, but they've always been live. And now, during the pandemic, they've just been on YouTube, but we wanted to try something where the audience can actually participate during the lecture, as in live sessions they can. Our first lecture in Teams was called The Secrets of the Drawing Room, and the audience group were the adults who are always interested in our manor history and in the lavish lifestyle of the 19th century. It was our first such lecture, and we only did some free posts on Facebook. But then the local newspaper, I think, mentioned it. So we had 30 attendants, which was very nice in our opinion, since this was not a big production. It was just me at home on Teams, showing pictures and talking about the manor life here in Espoo in the early 20th century. The school lessons, we have held some, and find that they are also a very good concept to have even after the pandemic. And then the senior sessions, so we have had for 10 years every Wednesday seniors coming and listening to a lecture, talking to each other, talking to us, having coffee, and then we couldn't do that anymore, and they really missed us, and whenever we met them out there, they were always asking when they can come back, and they couldn't because the vaccines weren't really there yet. So we decided that lectures aren't enough, and we want to try a digital engagement thing with our senior audience. And we were of course afraid that they wouldn't come because they are not used to these video conference call platforms, and they weren't. But we had clear instructions on our webpage. We sent them a newsletter telling what to do, and of course did some advertising on Facebook. And then we had a phone number and a person holding that phone whenever the session was about to start, so they could call and ask if there was any problem joining in. So we had a short presentation and then a discussion, and we found that having 2 educators or 2 people from the museum attending helps, because then they can have the conversation if the attendants don't feel comfortable talking or opening their mics or opening their cameras. But we had several attendants each time, and they seemed to be important sessions, since they had been, our seniors had been pretty much locked in for a year at this point. And we wanted to give them a possibility to just listen to people talking if they didn't want to participate. Lessons learned. In the lessons for schools, we found out that many teachers need a lot of help setting up the system so that they can actually broadcast our lesson in the classroom, and they don't all have matching tech in their classrooms, so some may not have cameras or microphones, and we need to be prepared to help them. And we found that it's hard to have a working interaction with the students when the microphone is far away from them. You can't hear their questions, you can't hear their answers, and the camera is you don't necessarily see anyone attending your lesson. We also easily use terminology that isn't familiar to our audience and don't always know what they know. And we think that it's important to offer a place of conversation, even if it can't be live, and that's what many of the attendants told us, that it's really good, even though only 2 people came, it's really good that you give this opportunity to us. Then we noticed that some things actually take a lot more time preparing for when the session is online, compared to just coming here in the exhibition and doing a guided tour, when you need to have all your tech set up, and the teacher has to come in early to check their setup and so on. Then we found that advertising these requires different methods a bit than advertising live events, since it's always a link and it doesn't look good on print, and you can't really just copy it from a newspaper, so it's basically digital advertisement. And also that you can attract new audiences far away who would never come here, since they have a really long way to come here. And that you also need to notice that when you're advertising these digital events, that the audience can be anywhere.